Upon the introduction of Gaara, many fans seem to wonder just what kind of prodigy would it take to halt such a maniacal monster. Well, today let's discuss if Gaara's power can stand up to the greatest prodigy to ever live, the one who views strength as loneliness versus the loneliest of them all. Shooting for 20k, so subscribe. After having been created and purposed solely as a weapon to be utilized by his father, the 4th Kazekage, Gaara, according to Fanbook 1, quote, hates the world and lives only to kill, which goes on to further note that his abilities surpass most Chunin and Jonin. He is extremely dangerous, with his spite conjoining to his power to murder all 3 Amegakure shinobi, whose combined danger rating is equal to that of Kabuto's Otogakure squad, as listed in the aforementioned book. We know that Gaara, and having abilities that surpass most Chunin and even Jonin, is a directly power correlated concept within Fanbook 1, stating that the ranks are, quote, given out based on raw strength and capability. And while many creators operate under the preconceived notion that Gaara has to be below Chunin or even Jonin level off the basis of him participating in such an exam and just fighting semi-competitively with such characters, this just isn't true, with Kakashi's very special mission report commenting on Gaara and how he would occasionally display incredible amounts of chakra, and I quote, although in truth his powers are believed to be unknown, something I not only went over in my Gaara vs Haku video, but Databook 1 further pushes via arguing such as a reason for why he's so frightening. Gaara is becoming the ultimate weapon for Konoha's destruction, and it wouldn't just result in the collapse of Konoha, but even Tsunegakure as well. Having to survive constant assassination attempts from his father while growing up, Gaara's rage and power continued to fester into where he can even rampage into V1, V2, and V3 states of his Shukaku transformation. This very transformation would be a key aspect for in how he might obliterate the 2 nations. Because, let's be real, base Gaara isn't beating either Kage, much less the whole village. The reason for why it says this, well, in simple terms, it's just how Naruto characters perceive and discuss the ultimacy of literally everything they talk about. For example, when characters like either Minato or Madara discuss speed in the series, we know they denote an absolute peak speed for whoever or whatever they are talking about by means of any amp in either body flicker or flying rising, rather than just the base raw combat speed. As the 4th Raikage actually hails himself to be the fastest shinobi alive, despite having been nearly killed by Sasuke's Enton, which outsped him. For both Tobirama and Minato, 2 flying rising users capable of hence using a speed technique of godlike proportion above a body flicker, allowing for one to open a subspace beyond the concepts of space and distance to move through it, similarly to a summoning as opposed to body flicker, is considered for why Obito, says Minato is so fast, wherein Tobirama was called the fastest of his generation due to harnessing said ability. You see, those sorts of abilities are just coupled into the speed category, the general speed category of both characters. Thus, for Gaara, if he were to transfigure into Shukaku, he would then probably beat most Jonin and basically all Chunin. So, this would mean that he would beat up Kid Kakashi, right? No, not even in the slightest. This is actually my reason for making this video, as my next video is going to be a longer masterpiece concerning Kakashi, so this is a bit of a preface video for that. So, with that, just how busted was Kakashi as a kid? Well, following his promotion to not just Genin and Chunin, but even Jonin at the youngest ages in all of history, attesting to the precocious genius of Kakashi, according to Databook 1, was clearly, as his birthday column states, one of the foremost shinobi in Konoha. And having been a Jonin would mean, as we noted through the first fanbook, his abilities and raw strength were sharply above that Jonin threshold, which, if you are to allow for some material wiggle room, then the Storm 4 game has a cutscene where Kakashi can push back the Yellow Flash, clashing multiple times and even using clones and an attempt at Chidori before Minato stops him, but not before saying, "I'd already consider you Jonin class," implying that Kakashi was Jonin already in ability before actually being promoted. And while sure, many in the village are implied to have some sort of opinion about Kakashi being a Jonin, this is pretty natural considering his age. And we can actually find his Jonin age primarily, and we know that he and Obito graduated together and took the Chunin Exams together, despite the fact that Obito in every databook except for databook 4, which already has time conundrums as it is, and the Kizuna Earth Scroll, is 4 years older than Kakashi, who in every medium such as Fanbook 1 has these young age notions as well to further support this idea. Obito is stated to be 13 years old during the Third War's events of Kanami Bridge, during Kakashi Gaiden, wherein Kakashi is a Jonin by that point, and thus Kakashi couldn't have been promoted to Jonin at any age older than 10. This is something that not only my next video, but my good buddy Sage are going to be going over, and so you can check that out on his channel, or wait for my next video. Therefore, we know that while Gaara was 12 and had some pinnacle Bijou abilities that would allow for him to possibly reach into the Jonin tier, Kakashi at the youngest age of 9 years old would have, quote, reached the peak of shinobi forces, according to Fanbook 1, and while sure, Gaara had faced death at the hands of his own father, Kakashi, according to the aforementioned fanbook, has not only just fought through constant harrowing battles, but also faced death countless times. I mean, look, he's out on a battlefield that's full of Jonin. And even the entire notion about the Third War is that Iwagakure was just flooding battlefields with more shinobi than that which Konoha could possibly match, and thus you're going to be looking at a Kakashi who's likely taking on several grown adults in life or death battles, and since they're life or death battles, that means he wins basically all of them. And to further reiterate his Jonin tier, regardless of village consensus, Kakashi during the Third War in those life or death battles encounters Kako, who, according to Databook 2, is one of Iwagakure's most powerful shinobi, which argues that he truly excels in close quarters combat even over his adept ninjutsu and genjutsu. This is likely just because he relies on his Assassin's Creed style sleeved knives, with Kakashi even clashing with these pretty casually with just a basic kunai before even having the Sharingan. And then after Kakashi is even more fatigued, the two encounter one another once again. Kakashi closes into that close quarters range and just one-shots Kako with Chidori. Now, considering if we are to equal the ages of Kakashi and Gaara, then Kakashi would be basically an Anbu member at the request of his sensei Minato, so we're gonna have to dial his age back just for this to even be fair, and he should still be stronger than this variant of Kakashi, since anime guidebooks like the 1 Decade 100 Ninja Guide state that he trains every day, with the remaining battles of the war acting as basically a pressure cooker for his growth. Now, during Gaara's reign of terror within the Chunin Exams, we do say that he fights Rock Lee, who in that fight was a massive physical superior to Gaara in terms of speed, so perhaps could Gaara just roll the punches and win at the end, like in that very fight? No. While sure, Lee's movements were something that a much later Kakashi needed his Sharingan to keep up with, it doesn't matter. Even if we are to say that, which I think you could equally argue he just wanted to see what gates were being opened. The 5th gate is said to be a technique to rival and beat Neji. This Neji is above at least a 3rd and possible 4th gate, despite he himself being said to just surpass Genin level and be at Chunin level. And thus, Kakashi would then be tiers above the same 4th gate Lee that was murder blitzing Gaara faster than any other instance in the entire series, with Gaara getting hit over 15 times in a single panel. Look what Lee was doing to my boy here. Sakura herself even states the obvious, the sand just can't keep up. But why did Lee lose? Well, because all he had was speed. He couldn't actually deal serious damage without equally destroying himself. Kakashi just simply can. You see, when Sasuke then fights Gaara, we see that he's stated to be practically the same speed as Lee and just his average speed. However, what set Sasuke apart was something else entirely. His power. He used while jolting around Gaara. His kicks drew blood, his punches cracked his face, and his power made Gaara scared. Forced him into a sandball, which is called the Absolute Defense, and it's Gaara's best weapon, and Sasuke's base Chidori pierces through it with what the chapter 113 synopsis statement says is absolute breakthrough power. So if you don't see the vision already, Kakashi isn't just blitz tiers and shinobi category tiers above Gaara, he has the abilities that would have killed Gaara, even in higher transformation states. Sasuke's Chidori allowed for him to literally move on par with higher transformation Gaara due to the Sharingan precog aiding the speed amp from the Chidori. And Kakashi has that very combo, if not even be more adept with said combo. Sasuke utilized fireball jutsu and pressure feints, and Kakashi later states that most Jonin have 1 or 2 nature releases, and he ought to also have the Rasengan by this point too, unironically. So this fight isn't really close, and Kakashi should win like 9 out of 10 times. And you could honestly say this for just about every single genin that participates in the Chunin exams that we saw. You could take Neji in his absolute defense. It would literally just get blitzed around by Kakashi. Take Kakashi versus Sasuke. What made Sasuke strong? The Sharingan and Chidori. Kakashi has that as well and is just multiple tiers above. So this matchup, and really any matchup you're going to put Kid Kakashi against, really showed just how strong Kid Kakashi is. But what did you guys think? Did you guys think Gaara has a way to circumvent the differences, or do you think that perhaps Kid Kakashi is simply underrated? Well, be sure to stay tuned for my next video after this, considering that very idea, but also subscribe and hype the video so more people can see it. More importantly than all that though, may God bless you all. Love you guys.